The Empress's creature was dying, until a human changed everything. Deep within the crystalline chambers of the Zephyrian Empire, Empress Valdara stood before her most treasured companion. The magnificent creature before her was unlike anything found in human mythology. Standing 12 feet tall with scales that shimmered like liquid starlight, the Nexus Guardian had been her people's protector for over 3 millennia. Its 4 arms ended in delicate crystalline claws, and its 3 eyes glowed with ancient wisdom. But now, those eyes were dimming, and the creature's breathing had become labored. Dr. James Mitchell, the only human aboard the Zephyrian flagship, watched the scene with growing concern. He had been brought here as part of an unprecedented diplomatic exchange, tasked with studying alien biology. What he witnessed now broke his heart. The creature that the Zephyrians called Korathis was clearly dying, and their advanced medical technology seemed powerless to help. "Your Majesty," Dr. Mitchell said carefully, stepping forward. "May I examine Korathis? Perhaps a fresh perspective might help." Empress Valdara turned to him, her violet eyes filled with desperation. Her people were known throughout the galaxy for their pride and stoic nature, but the sight of her beloved guardian's suffering had cracked her composed facade. "Human, our greatest healers have tried everything. Korathis has been our protector since before your species learned to walk upright. If we cannot save him, what makes you think you can?" The challenge in her voice was clear, but Dr. Mitchell heard something else beneath it: hope. He had spent months among the Zephyrians, learning their customs and earning their grudging respect through his dedication to understanding their biology. Now, faced with this crisis, he felt the weight of not just scientific curiosity, but genuine care for both the creature and the people who loved it. "Because sometimes," he replied gently, "an outsider can see what those too close cannot. In human medicine, we have a saying, 'Fresh eyes save lives.'" The Empress considered his words. Around them, her court advisors murmured in their melodic language, some clearly opposed to allowing the human near their sacred guardian. But Valdara raised a hand for silence. "Very well, Dr. Mitchell, but know this. If you fail, if Korathis suffers more because of your intervention, you will answer to me personally." Dr. Mitchell nodded solemnly and approached the great creature. Korathis lay on a platform of living crystal that pulsed with healing energy, yet the guardian's condition continued to deteriorate. His examination revealed something immediately troubling. The creature's biorhythms were completely out of sync with the healing crystal's frequency. "Your Majesty," he said, looking up from his portable scanner, "I need to understand something. Has Korathis always been kept in this chamber?" "Of course," Valdara replied, confusion evident in her voice. "This is the sacred chamber, where all guardians have recovered from their battles. The healing crystals have sustained our protectors for generations." But Dr. Mitchell was already forming a theory. He had noticed something during his time on the ship. The artificial environment, while perfect for Zephyrians, might be slowly poisoning their guardian. The creature's biology was different from its caretakers, something that had been overlooked for centuries. "I need access to your environmental controls," he said urgently, "and I need to move Korathis to a different location, somewhere with natural starlight." The court erupted in shocked protests. Moving the guardian from the sacred chamber was unthinkable, bordering on sacrilege. But Empress Valdara silenced them with a gesture. She had spent enough time observing the human to recognize the intensity in his voice, the same tone her own scientists used when they made crucial discoveries. "Explain yourself quickly, human. Korathis grows weaker by the hour." Dr. Mitchell took a deep breath, knowing that his next words would either save a life or end his own diplomatic mission in disgrace. The fate of the ancient guardian, and perhaps the future of human Zephyrian relations, hung in the balance. Dr. Mitchell pulled up his holographic displays, showing the bio readings he had taken from Korathis. The swirling patterns of data told a story that contradicted 3,000 years of Zephyrian tradition. Your Majesty, look at these cellular resonance patterns. Corythus isn't responding to the healing crystals because his biology operates on a completely different frequency. Empress Valdara studied the alien symbols and graphs, her advanced intellect quickly grasping the implications. You're suggesting that our most sacred healing chamber is actually harming him? Not intentionally, Dr. Mitchell replied carefully. But yes, the crystals emit a frequency that's perfect for Zephyrian physiology. But Corythus appears to be from a different evolutionary branch entirely. The constant exposure to the wrong frequency is disrupting his cellular repair mechanisms. High Counselor Zirith, the Empress's chief advisor, stepped forward with obvious displeasure. This is preposterous. The sacred chamber has healed guardians for millennia. Our ancestors were not fools, human. Your ignorance blinds you to truths beyond your primitive understanding. But Dr. Mitchell had anticipated this resistance. During his months aboard the ship, he had learned to navigate Zephyrian politics with care. Honored Counselor, I don't question your ancestors' wisdom. But consider this. How many guardians have there been in your history? The question caught Zirith off guard. 7... No. 8 including Corythus. And how long did each live? Valdara's eyes widened as she understood his line of reasoning. The average lifespan was significantly shorter than what our records suggested was natural for their species. Dr. Mitchell nodded grimly. What if the previous guardians didn't die of old age or battle wounds? What if they died of the same cellular degradation that's killing Corythus now? The chamber fell silent except for Corythus's labored breathing. The implications were staggering. If the human was correct, then the Zephyrians had been unknowingly shortening their protectors' lives for centuries. Even if your theory is correct, Zirith said, his voice tight with controlled anger. Moving Corythus from the sacred chamber could kill him immediately. The crystal matrix provides life support, which is why we need to be smart about this, Dr. Mitchell replied. He activated another hologram, showing a detailed plan. We don't move him far, just to the observation deck where he can receive natural starlight. I've calculated the exact wavelength of your sun's radiation, and it matches the cellular frequency his species evolved under. Empress Valdara studied the plan intently. As a ruler, she was accustomed to making decisions that could affect millions of lives. But this decision felt more personal than any she had ever faced. Corythus had been her companion since childhood, a gift from her predecessor, and a symbol of her right to rule. The risk is enormous, she said finally. If we move him and he dies, my people will see it as a sign that our alliance with humanity is cursed. Dr. Mitchell understood the political implications, but he also saw the trust in her eyes. Your Majesty, I've spent my career studying biology across dozens of species. I've seen cellular damage like this before. Without intervention, Corythus will die within hours. With intervention, he has a chance. The Guardian's breathing became even more labored, and one of his 3 eyes had already closed. Time was running out, and everyone in the chamber could feel it. There's something else, Dr. Mitchell added quietly. In my examination, I found evidence that Corythus is much older than your records indicate. The cellular scarring suggests he's been fighting this degradation for decades, using his own life force to maintain his duties as your protector. Valdara's composure finally cracked. Tears, rare for her species, began to flow down her cheeks. He's been suffering in silence, hiding his pain to avoid worrying us. It's what protectors do, Dr. Mitchell said gently. But now it's our turn to protect him. The Empress looked around the chamber at her advisors, seeing doubt and fear in their faces. Then she looked at the human who had risked everything to speak the truth. Dr. Mitchell, she said with quiet authority, you have one chance to save him. But know this, if you fail, you'll share his fate. The next hour was a frenzy of carefully coordinated activity. Dr. Mitchell worked alongside Zephyrian technicians to modify a mobile life support unit, adapting their crystal technology to work outside the sacred chamber. The challenge was maintaining Corythus's vital functions during the transfer, while minimizing exposure to the harmful frequencies. "The resonance dampeners are in place," reported Chief Engineer Vortex, a young Zephyrian whose skepticism had gradually given way to grudging respect for the human's expertise. "But I still don't understand how natural starlight can be more effective than our refined crystal matrix." Dr. Mitchell continued his calibrations while explaining, "Your crystals are incredibly advanced, but they're tuned for your species. It's like trying to power a device designed for alternating current with direct current. It might work for a while, but eventually the mismatch causes damage." Empress Valdara watched every movement with intense focus. She had dismissed the court except for essential personnel, understanding that too many observers would only increase the pressure on everyone involved. "How long will the transfer take?" "Once we begin moving him, we'll have approximately 3 minutes before the life support systems need to be fully reconnected," Dr. Mitchell replied. "It's going to be close." Corythus stirred weakly, his remaining 2 eyes focusing on the Empress with obvious affection. Even in his weakened state, the Guardian was trying to comfort his lifelong companion. Valdara placed her hand gently on his massive head, speaking in the ancient language reserved for communication with Guardians. "She's telling him that help is coming," Vortex translated for Dr. Mitchell. "She's asking him to hold on just a little longer." The observation deck had been hastily converted into a makeshift medical facility. Through the massive transparent aluminum windows, the light of the Zephyrian sun streamed in, its spectrum carefully analyzed and confirmed to match Dr. Mitchell's theoretical requirements. Portable medical equipment surrounded a specially designed platform that could provide temporary life support. "Beginning transfer sequence," Dr. Mitchell announced. A team of 6 Zephyrians carefully lifted Corythus onto the mobile platform. Even with their advanced technology, moving a creature of his size while maintaining life support was incredibly dangerous. As they progressed through the ship's corridors, Dr. Mitchell monitored Corythus's vital signs continuously. The Guardian's breathing was becoming increasingly shallow, and his bioelectric patterns were showing dangerous instabilities. "We need to move faster," he urged. "We're already at maximum safe speed," Vortex replied tersely. Any faster and the vibrations could disrupt his cardiac rhythm. They reached the observation deck with barely a minute to spare. As soon as Corythus was positioned in the natural starlight, Dr. Mitchell began his unprecedented treatment. Instead of using the traditional crystal healing matrix, he had created a hybrid system that filtered the sun's radiation through specially attuned focusing crystals. "Initial exposure beginning," he announced. "All monitors show." He stopped mid-sentence, staring at the readings in amazement. Within seconds of exposure to the properly filtered starlight, Corythus's cellular activity began to stabilize. The bioelectric patterns that had been chaotic for weeks suddenly found their natural rhythm. Empress Valdara gasped as she saw her guardian's third eye slowly open, its golden glow returning for the first time in months. "Is it working?" "The cellular damage is beginning to reverse," Dr. Mitchell confirmed, his voice filled with wonder. "But this is just the beginning. The healing process will take time, and we need to completely redesign his living environment." Corythus lifted his great head, looking directly at Dr. Mitchell with what could only be described as gratitude. The Guardian's voice, when it came, was like distant thunder. "You understand," he said in heavily accented but clear Standard Galactic. "The light calls to me." It was the first time Corythus had spoken in months, and the first time he had ever addressed a human directly. Valdara's tears flowed freely now, relief and joy overwhelming her usual royal composure. "The sun of my birth world," Corythus continued weakly, but with growing strength. "I had forgotten its song." Dr. Mitchell realized that his theory had been only partially correct. Corythus wasn't just from a different evolutionary branch. He was from a completely different world, brought to serve the Zephyrians so long ago that the truth had been lost to history. As Corythus continued to heal under the natural starlight, Dr. Mitchell worked tirelessly to understand the full implications of his discovery. The Guardian's recovery was remarkable, but it also raised profound questions about the relationship between the Zephyrians and their protectors, Corythus, Empress. Valdara said gently, sitting beside her recovering guardian, "Can you tell us about your true origins? We've always believed you were gifts from our gods." The ancient creature's eyes glowed with returning vitality as he struggled to remember. "Not gods, traders. Long ago, when the stars were young and your people first reached into the void, they found my world dying. My species faced extinction from a plague that turned our sun's light poison to us." Dr. Mitchell leaned forward, fascinated by this unexpected history. "So your people came here seeking a new sun?" "Not came," Corythus corrected sadly. "We were brought. Your ancestors offered salvation in exchange for service. They promised to find a way to help us adapt to their world's light. But the knowledge was lost when the Great Plague came to Zephyria 500 years later." Valdara's face paled. She knew the history he spoke of, the Dark Centuries, when a terrible disease had wiped out nearly half of their population and destroyed much of their accumulated knowledge. "We failed you, all of you." "Not failed," Corythus said firmly. "You gave us purpose. Each guardian who came before me chose to serve, knowing the cost. We are not slaves, Empress. We are honored to protect those who saved us from extinction." But Dr. Mitchell saw the larger tragedy. "How many of your people are still alive? Are there others?" Corythus was quiet for a long moment. "I am the last. My predecessor, Valorian, died knowing this truth. He made me promise to continue serving, even knowing that our sacrifice would end with me." The weight of this revelation settled over everyone present. The Zephyrians had unknowingly been witness to the slow extinction of an entire species, one that had served them faithfully for millennia without complaint. "That's not acceptable, Doctor," Mitchell said firmly. "Your species doesn't have to end with you." Empress Valdara looked at him with surprise. "What do you mean?" "Genetic reconstruction. With Corythus's DNA and the right technology, we could potentially create others of his kind. Not clones, but true genetic descendants. The Federation has the technology, and I know scientists who specialize in extinct species recovery." Corythus's three eyes widened with an emotion that transcended species. "Hope. You would do this? For a dying species you've only just met?" "It's what humans do, Doctor," Mitchell replied simply. "We refuse to accept that anything is impossible when lives are at stake. Your people saved the Zephyrians from extinction once. Now we'll save yours." Chief Engineer Vortex, who had been monitoring the conversation, stepped forward hesitantly. "Dr. Mitchell, the political implications are enormous. Empress Valdara would need to formally request Federation assistance for genetic reconstruction. It could take years to get approval." But Valdara was already standing, her bearing regal and determined. "Then we'll make the request immediately. And if the Federation's bureaucracy moves too slowly, we'll fund the research ourselves. The Zephyrian Empire has resources that could support a full genetic recovery program." Dr. Mitchell felt a surge of admiration for the Empress. In the span of a few hours, she had gone from clinging to ancient traditions to embracing radical change for the sake of justice. "There's something else we need to consider. If we're successful in recovering Corythus's species, they'll need a proper home. A world with the right kind of star." "The Kepler Sanctuary," Vortex said suddenly. The Federation maintains a preserve for endangered species on the edge of our territory. The primary star there has a spectrum almost identical to what Corythus needs. Corythus struggled to sit up, his strength returning visibly. You speak of miracles as if they were simple tasks. In my long life, I have seen empires rise and fall, but I have never seen such determination to right ancient wrongs. Because we're looking at this wrong, Doctor. Mitchell realized. This isn't about righting wrongs or paying debts. This is about doing what's right now. Your species has wisdom and strength that the galaxy needs. We're not just saving lives. We're preventing the loss of irreplaceable knowledge and culture. Empress Valdara nodded decisively. Dr. Mitchell, I'm appointing you as special liaison for the Guardian Recovery Project. You'll have full access to our resources and the authority to negotiate directly with the Federation on our behalf. And if the Federation refuses? Doctor, Mitchell asked, then we'll do it ourselves. The Zephyrian Empire and humanity working together. After all, she smiled, we've already proven that impossible things become possible when different species combine their strengths. Corythus made a sound that might have been laughter. I have lived to see the dawn of a new age. Perhaps the stars are not ready for my people to fade into memory after all. 3 months later, Dr. Mitchell stood in the observation deck of the Federation Research Station orbiting Kepler Sanctuary. Through the viewport, he could see the planet's surface, where construction crews were building specialized habitats, designed to support Corythus's species. The genetic reconstruction project had moved forward with unprecedented speed, thanks to the combined efforts of human scientists, Zephyrian engineers, and resources from both civilizations. The first batch of genetic samples is ready for activation, Dr. Rebecca Thornton, the project's lead geneticist, reported. We've successfully mapped Corythus's entire genome and identified the key sequences needed for species recovery. Empress Valdara, now a permanent resident of the research station, watched the preparations with evident emotion. Over the past months, she had formed an unlikely friendship with Dr. Mitchell, bonded by their shared dedication to saving Corythus's people. How many will be in the first generation? 6 individuals, Dr. Thornton replied. We're starting small to ensure genetic stability, but each one will be unique, not clones. They'll have the full genetic diversity needed to rebuild the species naturally. Corythus himself had become an integral part of the research team, sharing knowledge about his people's culture, biology, and history that had been lost for centuries. His health had completely returned under the proper stellar radiation, and he had grown stronger than anyone had thought possible. There's something you should know, Corythus said to Dr. Mitchell privately. My species has a unique trait. When we bond with protectors like your people and the Zephyrians, we develop an empathic connection. I can sense that you've been struggling with doubt. Dr. Mitchell nodded, not surprised that the ancient guardian had noticed his internal conflict. I keep wondering if we're playing God, bringing back a species that nature allowed to go extinct. Nature didn't cause our extinction, Corythus replied gently. A plague did. And it was the choice of thinking beings to save us then, just as it's the choice of thinking beings to save us now. A universe is full of random destruction. Dr. Mitchell, it's the conscious choice to create and preserve that makes life meaningful. The activation ceremony was attended by representatives from dozens of Federation worlds, as well as the Zephyrian High Council. It had become a symbol of interspecies cooperation and the refusal to accept defeat in the face of extinction. Beginning. Genetic activation sequence, Dr. Thornton announced. In the specially designed chambers, 6 pods glowed with the same starlight that had healed Corythus. Within each pod, genetic material was being guided through accelerated development under carefully controlled conditions. Activation successful, came the report. All 6 subjects are developing normally. Estimated time to maturity, 72 hours. Empress Valdara placed her hand on Carathes' massive shoulder. Your people will live again, old friend. And this time, they'll have the choice of where and how to live. But the true miracle came 3 days later, when the first of the new guardians opened their eyes. Unlike Carathes, who had been taken from his dying world as a juvenile, these beings would grow up knowing their true heritage and choosing their own paths. They're beautiful, Dr. Mitchell whispered as he watched the young guardians take their first steps. Their scales shimmered with the same starlight patterns as Carathes, but each one was unique in coloration and marking. The youngest of the new guardians, a female with silver-blue scales, approached Dr. Mitchell without fear. "You're the one who saved us," she said in a voice like wind chimes. "Carathes has told us your story." "We all saved you," Dr. Mitchell replied. "Humans, Zephyrians, and the Federation working together. You're not just the rebirth of your species. You're proof that the impossible becomes possible when people refuse to give up." Carathes watched the interaction with profound satisfaction. "Dr. Mitchell, you asked me once if I regretted the choices that led to my people's near extinction. I can answer that now. Every moment of suffering, every loss, every year of solitude was worth it if it led to this moment." Empress Valdara stepped forward, addressing the new guardians formally. "Children of the stars, you are welcome in the Zephyrian Empire as honored guests, not servants. But know that if you ever choose to stand with us, it will be as equals and friends." The silver-scaled guardian looked at her companions, then back at the assembled representatives. "We choose to stand with all of you. Our species was saved by the cooperation of many peoples. We'll dedicate our lives to protecting that cooperation and ensuring that no species ever faces extinction alone again." Dr. Mitchell smiled, realizing that they had accomplished something far greater than just saving a species. They had created the foundation for a new kind of alliance between worlds, one based not on dominance or tribute, but on mutual respect and the shared commitment to preserve life in all its forms. As the twin suns of Kepler Sanctuary set on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, the last guardian and the first of the new generation stood side by side, watching the dawn of a new era for their people and the galaxy. Itself, the Empress's creature was no longer dying. He was the father of a new beginning.